Today we will be discussing the role of supplementations, specifically as it relates to building out your personalized regimen and figuring out what's best for you and what's best for your body. And we know like supplements can be a really confusing topic in terms of which ones you should be taking, which ones you shouldn't be taking. There are so many options out there. So we're going to cover really what supplements are, the role they play in health, what kind of data you need to make an informed decision about supplements, as well as InsideTracker's approach to supplementation. We're going to cover a couple FAQs right off the bat. And then Colin here is going to share his personal story to improving his health with the use of supplements. But first things first, I think some introductions are in order. My name is Molly, and I am one of the dietitians at InsideTracker. I'm also the content marketing manager. You may have seen my name pop up on a couple of InsideTracker articles on the Inside Guide. I actually started off my career in the supplement industry working on marketing teams. So I've had experience on both the industry side as well as the consumer side. And as you can see, my favorite food is peanut butter.
So hi everyone, I'm Colin. I'm part of the sales team here at InsideTracker, and a little bit of my story is that I've been in human performance for a number of years. I was coaching from everything from college to professional sports, so kind of seen every aspect to the, I would say, the athletic side of human performance, and now I'm involved with InsideTracker, and I'll talk to a little bit later about my story on using supplements to improve my health. And my favorite food is a filet mignon.
Awesome. Thank you, Colin. So kind of diving right into supplements. Dietary supplements are everything ranging from vitamins, minerals, herbs, enzymes, proteins, amino acids, botanicals. They're often found in pills, capsules, powders, or drinks. You've probably walked down supplement aisles before at grocery stores or pharmacies. We list a couple examples of supplements over here. So vitamin D, magnesium, curcumin, a couple of these may be ringing bells for you. And while supplements are not food, they are often very concentrated sources of either nutrients or compounds that are found in foods or either produced naturally by the body. They are just going to be more isolated, potentially a lot higher amounts than what you could get through food or what your body produces. And if you ever look on the back of a supplement bottle or powder, you're going to notice that the facts panel looks a little bit different than if you look at the foods. But supplements also aren't medications in terms of they are not designed or intended to treat, diagnose, prevent, or cure diseases. And because of that, they are not regulated in the same fashion as medications. So medications, whether that's over the counter or prescription, they have to be approved by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, before they are sold, marketed, utilized, what have you. And they have to have a certain number of studies showing the safety and efficacy of that medication for a certain use or certain population. Dietary supplements are marketed or are regulated in a post-market environment. So it is up to the supplement companies to ensure the safety, to ensure label claims meet standards, and to ensure that what is on the bottle matches what is in the label. The regulatory component comes afterwards when one of those is not being upheld. And so because of this post-market regulation, there can be a lot of not really great players in the space. So I'm sure, questions come up of like, oh, what supplement brand's the best? What's that? And we're going to get to some tips and tricks later on how to determine that. But just some general differences between specifically supplements and medications. And supplements can play a variety of roles in health. One of the most important is to correct nutritional deficiencies or inadequacies. So a good example here is for vitamin D. Vitamin D is a pretty common deficiency in the US, in many parts of the world. It can be really hard to obtain enough vitamin D from food alone, as well as sunshine, specifically if you're not in the sunniest of climates. And a supplement can be helpful in getting that level from a deficiency status to a normal or optimized zone. Supplements can be beneficial in helping you achieve a specific goal, especially if they are providing that nutrient or compound that is in much higher quantities in that more therapeutic dose than what you can get from food or produced naturally by the body itself. So a specific goal could be sleep. Many people may turn to a melatonin supplement for sleep, even though melatonin is a hormone that your body naturally produces. Some people may turn to an adaptogen like ashwagandha if their goal is stress. So those can both those supplements would be considered maybe a goal-specific one. Supplements can also be used to help meet higher nutritional needs for some individuals. We're not going to dig into this one too much, but pregnancy is a great example where the needs of mom increase during this time to help support the growing baby. So prenatal vitamins, you'll see a lot of those to help that woman meet her specific needs for that time. But there are also several reasons or ways that supplements should not play a role in health. And the biggest one here is that supplements should not be used to replace or used instead of a healthy or varied diet or in lifestyle habits. Supplements can be added in addition to or once that strong foundation in terms of what you eat, how you act, the habits that you make. They can be used to support all of that, but they should not be used as a crutch or in place of. Supplements, as enticing as some of the marketing around them are, they also don't offer a quick fix to a specific concern that you have. Even for the supplements that do work for a specific reason, they can take weeks to months to show a potential benefit. So patience is always a great virtue anytime you introduce a new supplement as well. It won't necessarily be overnight. And lastly, a supplement should not act as an insurance policy. So AKA, I'm taking this supplement just in case I'm not eating enough fruits and vegetables. I'm taking this multivitamin. I don't think I'm getting enough iron, so I'm going to take this iron supplement. And this type of insurance policy supplementation happens when you're kind of guessing. You don't really know what's going on, what you need, or what's going to get you there, and that can lead to you potentially over supplementing in a lot of areas, not only wasting your money on supplements that may not work or that you may not need. That can also potentially be dangerous as well. You may also be under supplementing in some areas, and you may be missing a critical piece to the puzzle as well. But the biggest thing about supplementation is that there's really no one size fits all approach. What is good for one person may not be the best for another. It's really about you, what your body needs, what your body may be lacking, and how supplements can be used to support that. And that's really where InsideTracker comes in and taking that targeted approach to nutritional supplementation. And we always recommend avoiding that insurance policy approach, otherwise like blanket supplements or blindly supplementing in a way that doesn't necessarily address your body's needs or goals. So in order to take that really targeted, personalized approach, InsideTracker analyzes a bunch of your individual data, including blood biomarkers, wellness traits from DNA Insights, sleep and heart rate data from fitness trackers, as well as your goals. So some blood biomarkers change in response to your diet, lifestyle habits, all of that. InsideTracker measures up to 43 biomarkers that can include cholesterol or magnesium here. And unlike traditional blood tests that just tell you whether you are clinically high or clinically low in a certain biomarker, InsideTracker gives you your optimal zone. So specific to your age, sex, ethnicity, and activity level, we narrow down that within normal range to your optimized zone and not only detect the highs and lows, but also what is below optimized, those inadequacies, and what is slightly above optimized. So for example, we can see that this person here is below optimized in magnesium. And in terms of DNA insights, you can also integrate your DNA insights with InsideTracker, and some of those wellness traits analyzed can indicate that almost regardless of some of those lifestyle factors, it can be genetically challenging for you to maintain optimal levels of some of these nutrients. And for this person here, we actually see that they have an elevated genetic risk for having lower magnesium levels. So potentially adding a supplement could be what this person needs to really nudge their biomarker, their magnesium biomarker in the right direction. And so really taking that personalized approach at analyzing your data to identify what are those areas for improvement, what are those gaps. InsideTracker then takes a really science-backed approach in the supplements that we recommend to fill those gaps. And that's where the incredible scientists at InsideTracker come in, and they review all the research available on a bunch of different supplements available on the market and look at the impact of that supplementation on one of the 43 biomarkers that we measure, as well as one of the 13 goals you can select for your InsideTracker plans. They'll look at the studies. A lot of supplement studies are pretty straightforward. They tend to be randomized controlled trials. So group A was given this supplement at this dose for how many weeks. Group B was given a placebo, what happens at the end. If there are 3 or more studies that show support of the use of that supplement for that purpose, it can then be added into the InsideTracker algorithm, and depending on where your biomarkers fall, that recommendation would then trigger. With supplement research, there are a lot of industry-funded studies, and so also want to disclose that InsideTracker scientists do review those studies. They make sure that the methods are up to standard, and if they are deemed adequate, then industry-funded studies are used in that evaluation. It's also important to note that InsideTracker, we are not tied to any supplement company, and we do not profit whether you decide to purchase a supplement or a particular product. We just simply give you a really great summary of the supplement research in terms of how that recommendation would help improve your health. So as I mentioned, there are 2 different supplement recommendations really that you could see from InsideTracker. One is goal-based and the other is biomarker-based. So an example for a goal-based one is gut health. This one's actually a recommendation I saw in my action plan. For the longest time, I had my goal set to overall health. I recently wanted to switch that up and change it over to gut health because I wanted to focus on that more. And notice I had a brand new recommendation for focusing on collagen popped up. If I clicked right here, how this helps your body, I wouldn't see necessarily a specific biomarker tied to it. It is a recommendation specific for the goal I selected. You can only select one goal at a time, but you can always go back and change your goal even within the same blood test and see what those the differences in some of those recommendations. But this one isn't one that would have necessarily been a priority for me to implement if my focus was overall health, but for gut health, it was ranked high enough that it showed up on my action plan. And over here, we can see a biomarker associated recommendation. So this person is low to almost deficient in vitamin D, and their action plan is really prioritizing that vitamin D supplement. So I know a lot of you on the call today have already tested with InsideTracker. You may have already looked over your results in your account, whether that's on the web or online. And you might know that we can give you a lot of supplement recommendations, and it can be confusing to know exactly what to prioritize. You might have a bunch of different questions on individual supplements that you were recommended. So we're going to go over a couple tips and tricks on how to get the most of your InsideTracker recommendations. And if you haven't tested with InsideTracker yet, we're also going to give you some really good insights as to what you would be getting with a plan. So we're going to start with the app. When you log into your app, you're going to see your home screen. I think it was recently updated, so this plan button is now the middle button. But if you select your plan, that'll take you to your action plan. And you can see the goal you select at top. Automatically, about 10 actions are going to be added to your action plan based off of this impact score that you see over here. So the impact score helps to quantify the effectiveness of that recommendation for the goal, for the biomarker. And it can be a great way to help prioritize what recommendations or what supplements to start with that would help you to optimize that biomarker faster or to get you to improve that goal. So for Martha here, she's being recommended an ALA, a alpha lipoic acid supplement. This recommendation was given an 8.4, so pretty strong contributor to her overall health goal. If you click view details, you'll be taken to the full supplement page where you can read more on what that supplement is. You're able to check in if you take it on a daily basis. And if you click around, you can see how this helps your blood. So this is a biomarker specific recommendation that was triggered because of this person's elevated total cholesterol, triglycerides, LDL, and hsCRP, which is a marker for inflammation. How this helps your body would show you any information tied to fitness tracker data if you have a Garmin smartwatch, Fitbit, or Apple Watch attached. DNA insights are available here too. And what I really want to point out is this Tell Me More section, which will give you a bunch of information on that specific supplement. So for the ALA example we have here, we have what is alpha lipoic acid, how does it benefit your biomarkers? Again, you'll see that specific dose that's being recommended to you. We'll also provide brand recommendations within here as well. We often get asked by customers or others what specific brands we recommend. And InsideTracker dietitians have done a little bit of digging for each supplement we recommend just to provide you with a couple options right off the bat. There are, of course, many reputable brand options out there. We just found about like 2 or so for each recommendation. Again, we don't have any ties to these companies or profit off of it. We just know people have questions. So we have that answer provided here. We also will say if there's a best time of day to take a supplement for this ALA, it's noted that it's best taken 30 minutes prior to a meal with a glass of water. If we recommend splitting the dose of a supplement, it'll be hidden here as well. And any other tips from a registered dietitian. So for ALA, we note that you may notice a change of smell of your urine when on this supplement because your body, just the way your body metabolizes it. So we're also pointing out anything that you should know before you start the supplement. And all the same information about the supplements can be found if you use the web version to review your results. So if you log in on the web, you can go to this blood work analysis and recommendations page. It'll take you to a page with all your biomarkers listed. This page looks a little different for each person because it'll organize the biomarkers based off of what is least optimized for you. And the further you scroll down, you'll see the more and more optimized ones. For this person, creatine kinase was the most unoptimized one here. All the recommendations for this biomarker group can be found to the right of it. And this person is being recommended 500 milligrams of curcumin supplement each day to help with this above optimized level. If you click the show more button here, you will then see a drop down with all the same great information that the app Tell Me More section will have. So a benefit of using the app over the web version is that you can select your goal and have that impact score and that priority list in your action plan. Whereas if you just view your results on this blood work and analysis page, there's really no priority given. So it's hard to detect which recommendation will give you the most bang for your buck. We have a couple FAQs right off the bat we're going to get to. I know some of you submitted questions before the webinar. So we'll answer a couple of your specific questions at the end. Here's ones that I just get asked a lot from being a dietitian at InsideTracker. And so while we do offer some specific brand recommendations within the product, often get asked, how do I know I'm getting a quality supplement? And really it's from a reputable source. And you can do that by looking at third-party websites for high quality recommendations. We really like Labdoor and Consumer Labs. Labdoor here, you can see the top 10 results for fish oil. It'll list any certifications that it has, as well as, sport, if you have to be really cognizant of what types of supplements you are, depending on if you're an athlete. That's a great resource to have. You can also look for third-party verification on the bottle if you prefer to just buy a supplement at the store. So the NSF, USP, certified sports are good ones to reach out to. These third-party verification sites really just speak to kind of the quality of the ingredients and that what is on the label matches what is in the bottle. I'm sure you may have heard some horror stories about a supplement containing, sawdust or something. So avoiding some of those not reputable brands can be really help make sure that you're getting the best quality. It's also really important to know the dose of the supplement that you're getting. All of your InsideTracker recommendations will state a specific dose to look out for on that supplement, And the dose may not always be listed on the bottle, especially if it's a proprietary blend. So that's often when a company puts together multiple ingredients in certain amounts in a bottle, and they may not state exactly what those amounts are. That those proprietary blends may be lower in the amount of the supplement that you need. So you're not getting that therapeutic dose to really move the needle in your biomarkers, or you may be getting too much of it. So sometimes a standalone, so just like a pure, like vitamin D, a pure ALA might be a little bit better for those reasons. If you do buy a blend, just make sure you know the dose that you're getting. Are there potential risks to supplementation? Yes, there are. Although supplements are not medications, they do have strong biological effects in the body. So they can interact with and change bodily processes. They can interact with foods. Oftentimes, there is a perception that supplements are natural and that natural equals safe. But natural can still interact, especially at those really high amounts that you get in isolation from supplements. So being really cognizant about any potential side effects. And there's also the perception that more of a substance may be better. Again, not always the case. The best dose of a supplement is what the research has found to be clinically effective and tolerable. It's also always a good idea to consult with a healthcare professional before adding supplements to your regimen. This is especially true if your regimen includes a lot of supplements, just to make sure There are no recommendations, or there are no interactions between them. And then anytime you're combining supplements with medications over the counter or prescription, if you're picking up a supplement from a pharmacy, you can always stop and ask your pharmacist just if everything's looking okay, or if they have any concerns. And one way to help introduce multiple supplements into your regimen safely is to only introduce one new one at a time. Say if you're wanting to add 2 or 3 new ones after getting your InsideTracker results back, space it out a little, start with one, give it just like a week or two, evaluate how you're feeling, see if you notice any changes. And if you are tolerating it well, then you can add the other one in. This just helps to, if you do notice any side effects, it helps you to kind of know where that's coming from. Because if you introduce all three or more supplements at a time, and you experience some maybe digestive distress or something, you're not going to know what causes it. Another question we get asked a lot is, do you need to stay on a supplement forever? Just because you see some recommendations after your first InsideTracker test, does that mean you now are on that supplement for life? And no, that's not always the case. Supplementation for, say, correcting a deficiency like vitamin D, again, that could be, a supplement could be very beneficial in getting you out of that deficient range, but that it may not be needed to maintain those optimal levels, or maybe you need to take a lower dose to maintain those optimal levels. So it's not something you'll necessarily have to take at that dose for extended periods of time. Also, if you're taking a supplement for a goal like improve stress, maybe you started something like L-theanine, but if that's no longer your goal, 3 or 6 months later, your stress scores have improved, your biomarkers have improved, that's maybe something you don't need to stay on. And that's really where frequent blood testing every 3 to 6 months allows you to track your supplements and iterate on that regimen based off of your current needs. Again, things don't change overnight, which is why we recommend that 3 to 6 months. But at the same time, noticing improvements and iterating on the supplements, and maybe one just doesn't do it for you, and you're not noticing that change you want, then you also need to discontinue it and maybe try something else. And so Colin here is now going to share his personal journey with how he created his supplement regimen.
Yeah, so hi everyone, Colin here. So go to the next slide here, but basically I started with InsideTracker in June of 2021. So that's when I first established my testing. And if you want to just head to that next slide there, Molly. There we go. So basically this kind of painted the picture of my baseline, like who I was and the deficiencies that were identified. A deficiency, I should clarify, it's unoptimized, meaning it's not clinically deficient. I didn't need medical intervention, but it wasn't in the ideal position for me. And because of that, my inner age calculation was slightly younger than my chronological age. So it was only 6 months younger, which for me was a little bit of a letdown because I felt like I was health diligent. So from there, what I decided to do was prioritize the smallest actions that I could implement and keep consistent that would create the largest impact on my health. So on the right-hand side there, what you're noticing is this is actually after the fact, but this is like sort of the display of the biomarkers. So the ones in yellow are the ones that need a little bit of work, and the ones that are green are the ones that have been optimized. So very clear English on how to identify my needs, and then how to proceed from there was what something I was really interested in. So if we go to the next slide there. So these are my actual results, and I want to highlight these 3 as a starting place. So the first one was my magnesium level was, again, unoptimized. It needed a little bit of improvement. My blood glucose was also considered unoptimized, and my vitamin B12 was also considered unoptimized. To highlight, that's the first data point on the left-hand side of the chart. And from there, what kind of happened was I decided to prioritize a few things at once. So I put my goal as sleep, since really that's what my motivation was, addressing my sleep. So the program really removed all the guesswork of what to do with this information. So the program told me how much magnesium to take, the form of magnesium, since if you're not really familiar with magnesium, there's several different forms that you can choose. So it kind of told me, specifically what I needed to do, the dosage of it, the best timing to do it, to, in essence, bring myself into a more optimized position. And I've also was dealt the hand of having, I had the genetic risk for having low magnesium. So my blood report came to fruition that I definitely have both issues. Then from there, the other one I really wanted to tackle was my blood sugar, because blood sugar is highly influential of how long you're going to live in some aspects. And it's a big part of the calculation for your inner age. So I decided of all the suggestions that the probiotic to me was the most interesting, because it was also the most impactful for several different biomarkers. So it didn't just improve my blood glucose. On the list there, you can see it also improved my hemoglobin H1C and my high sensitive C-reactive protein. So in essence, this one change created a ripple effect in several different categories. So that seemed pretty obvious to me. The nice thing too, again, if you're familiar with probiotics, is there's so much information out there. There's strains, there's different forms, there's when to take it. And the program just completely removed all the guesswork of what to do with this information and how to implement this new probiotic supplement into my daily routine. The last thing I just want to highlight, which was really interesting to me, was I was taking a multivitamin prior to getting tested, because I kind of thought, why not? And what I found out with the previous chart was that my vitamin B12 was way too high. Like it wasn't optimized. And if you consider that health is sort of a bell curve and you're trying to be in the optimized window, too much is just as harmful as too little. So as Molly described it earlier, it's not like more is always better. So what I just basically decided to do with the recommendation from InsideTracker was, cease taking my multivitamin altogether to bring my vitamin B12 into a better zone. So if we actually go to the next slide here, one thing I really want to emphasize. So I not only made supplement changes to my daily routine, I also made a considerable amount of dietary changes as well. So what you're seeing is actually the combination of the two. And what I want to highlight here is even through the combination of the two, it still needs a little bit of work in some aspects, right? It's not in the perfect position, but it's making great progress. So I just want to highlight that the supplement is never going to be your end all be all. It has to be in conjunction with dietary changes. And even with the both of those combined, there's still work that I'm trying to improve upon. So always highlighting that it's the last piece, it's not the only piece. And if we go to the next page here, so some of the foods I incorporated, worth noting here, was I also incorporated more fermented foods, so probiotic foods. And I felt like I was pretty, I would say, involved with the nutritional space, but this area to me is completely unknown. So there were so many different foods that I had started to incorporate: sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha. I mean, things that, again, I never really considered as an option to improve my blood, because I didn't really know that that was an issue of mine. So the program really, removed the guesswork and helped illuminate the path of what I should do. I also want to highlight that there are other foods that they suggested that, again, checked off like numerous boxes. So for example, like wheat germ, for me, it was a no-brainer because it incorporated, it's rich in magnesium and other minerals. It's high in soluble fiber, which reduces blood sugar. I mean, so I incorporated foods that also improved my blood values. It wasn't just one sort of, aspect to it. And on the next one here, so the end result. So I retested again in February, this past February. And through these actions and being very consistent with the InsideTracker app, I was actually able to drop my chronological age amongst improving my blood values. So I dropped my chronological age about a decade. So, theoretically now I'm on a much healthier path that, again, I didn't really know I wasn't on the right path. And that's what's nice about a program like this. It helps determine, what to do with the information and how to make it work for you. Just want to highlight here that this was in conjunction with dietary changes. It wasn't just supplements. And then the theory now moving forward is I'm going to continue to refine my journey, try different forms of magnesium, try different forms of soluble fiber, try new fermented foods. And the idea is, again, I'm going to test on a regular basis to track my progress to see if one of those really works for me, try that out for another period of time, and again, continue to iterate and evolve the process.
Awesome. Thank you, Colin, for sharing that. Definitely journey and a process. It just doesn't happen overnight. And it's also all encompassing, not just adding that supplement and expecting it, your biomarkers to magically improve. It is incremental, and that frequent blood testing is really going to play a role in shaping how you adjust and the decisions you make moving forward. So now we have a couple of customer questions to add. The first one at least I often hear, Colin, I think hears it occasionally as well on the sales side, is can I also take supplements that aren't recommended by InsideTracker? And for this, what I say is if you don't see an InsideTracker recommendation for a supplement, there's likely a reason why. It may be that just InsideTracker does not have a recommendation for that supplement in general. This happens when the research doesn't meet that criteria we have needed. So maybe the supplement right now, there's only say animal data on it, or there's only a handful of studies and they show a null or negative result, then we wouldn't have a recommendation for that supplement in general. Or on the other hand, your biomarkers, your current health status or goal don't currently indicate the need for that supplement to be beneficial. And so it's not being triggered. That recommendation isn't being triggered for you. So in that case, what I recommend is that it's up to you and the advice of your healthcare professional, whether or not to be on additional supplements. Again, thinking through what's going to be beneficial for your goals and your biomarkers there. For this one, is there a best time of day to take supplements? Which one should you take with food? So again, we get asked this one a lot. It's going to differ. It's going to differ a lot between some of the supplements recommended. I'm just going to breeze through a lot of the most common ones that we get. So for any fat soluble vitamin that you're on, that could be vitamin A, D, E, or K. They can really be taken any time of day. They should just be taken with food since they are fat soluble. That means your body absorbs them better when there is fat present. So taking them with a meal is a good idea. Whereas water soluble vitamins like all the B vitamins and vitamin C, you can basically take any time of day, but just with water. So if you wanted to take them on an empty stomach, just make sure you have some water and they're good to go. For minerals, it's always a good idea to take these ones separately at different times a day. As some minerals can inhibit the absorption of other minerals. So you don't want to mix like calcium and magnesium or calcium and iron. And this is also counterintuitive to a lot of multivitamins, which package up a lot of the minerals together. So if you do need an iron supplement, make sure you're taking it at a different time than calcium. So not an iron supplement with morning coffee with cream or something like that. If you take iron and magnesium, take iron in the morning on an empty stomach and magnesium at night. And then also, again, going back to that tell me more, show me more section for individual recommendations on, is this supplement best taken on with food, empty stomach, before you eat, after you eat, morning, night, before you go to bed. All that information will be spelled out there. I also have a question of, do gummy supplements work? Is there a best form to take? So gummy supplements can work for sure. Just look for that third-party verification and follow the storage instructions on the bottle. The best form is going to be something with that clinically effective dose that contains the ingredients that the bottle says that it should, and as well as it's stored properly as well. So gummy supplements, whether it's a probiotic or multivitamins, maybe there's some calcium chews, can be beneficial. You just want to look for that quality, those third-party verifications as well. And then we often get asked, is there one supplement that everyone should be on? And there is not. I think, as you can probably tell from this webinar, we do really emphasize a personalized approach to supplementation. And so that one supplement that everyone should be on is not that personalized approach. One that we do notice a general deficiency or inadequacy in is vitamin D. Vitamin D deficiency is relatively common, at least in the US and at least in the Northern Hemisphere. So anywhere from 42 to 82% of actually US adults may be deficient at a given time. I believe it's almost 50% of people who test with InsideTracker have below optimal vitamin D levels at their first test. So this is one where it's vitamin D is a really good idea to get your levels checked in case you are deficient, to see if that supplementation would be beneficial. But we don't recommend supplementing if you don't know that you're low. So we don't recommend that blind or blanket supplementation. So again, for those of you who have already tested with InsideTracker, you know that InsideTracker recommends a lot, can recommend a lot of different supplements. So one that I often hear is, do you need to take all of them at one time? And you start all of them. And I would say, no, this is where like the app and the setting your goal and paying attention to those impact scores can help you prioritize anywhere from 1 to 3 supplements that address the goal and the biomarker most efficiently. And that is what we have for our presentation today. Colin, if you have any last minute remarks, please speak now or forever hold your peace.
Well, it was great chatting with everybody, but the way to go about supplementation is, using science to direct your initiatives, which is what InsideTracker really provides, is the tools for that. And then, as Molly said multiple times, is like, don't throw everything like the kitchen sink at what you're trying to accomplish. Be very strategic with it, like one at a time. Use objective and subjective measures to determine if this is actually helping you and if there's any potential unintended side effects that's not really like something that you want to continue with. And then the most important thing with anything is, like, can this be something that's sticky that you can use on a daily basis if it's something that's like vitamin D, like a daily supplement, because you don't want to just take something, spend money for it, and not really keep it as a consistent part of your routine. So making it a daily habit. And that's why I think using the InsideTracker app to keep yourself motivated and accountable is super important when you're trying to create a routine around something.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Colin. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. We will be following up with an email linking to the presentation in case there's anything you want to go back and review. But in the meantime, if you have InsideTracker, definitely recommend poking through your app a little bit more, look through that show me more, look through that tell me more, head on over to the Inside Guide and the InsideTracker, formerly known as the InsideTracker blog, and search through some articles there that dive into even more detail on some of the specific supplements you may be wanting more information on. But thank you so much, and I hope everyone has a good rest of their day.